Yep. Right, whenever I make a video about fitting a sump guard or bash plate to a road going bike, I always get lots of puzzled comments as to why you would fit one to a bike that's not an off-road bike. You know, people seem to think that sump guards are the preserve of off-road bikes only, but they're not. A well-designed one like this one from Royal Enfield for the Bullet also protects the engine and the bottom of the frame from weather and other debris that might get picked up by the front tyre and held at the bike. And the simple way of avoiding a rusting pitted engine cradle or pockmarked engine block is to just fit a sump guard. It also keeps the bottom of the front of your bike cleaner, and more often than not they also look rather nice. Now this video comes courtesy of all my lovely patrons, generous people who donate little sums of money every month that go towards buying parts to make videos like this one. Thank you very much, chaps. This is a genuine Royal Enfield part, designed to fit the 350 and 500cc Classic. Obviously it will also fit the Trials version. In fact, I bought this from MotoGB a few months back and I actually had trouble locating it because it was only listed in the section for accessories for the Trials bike. I shall endeavour to find it again and leave it in the video description down below. Right, I'm going to apologise in advance. The weather here in Blighty has turned a little bit unpredictable at the moment, and it's taken a total of 4 filming sessions to get this video together, and unfortunately the continuity man, who is me, dropped the ball. And on editing things together today I've discovered that there are some clips that I thought I'd filmed that I obviously didn't film. They're not there, so I'm having to make the best of a bad job. Hopefully I can pull it all together. This sump guard is actually one of the best designed OEM sump guards I've ever come across. It's clear anodised and Royal Enfield have thought of absolutely everything. The attachment method is very, very secure. It's designed to wrap around the engine slightly to give some protection to the sort of side edges of the engine block. They have left provision for oil changes with access to the main sump plug, and to guard against heavy impacts they've included 2 very robust bump stops to protect the bottom of the engine block. They've also incorporated a master cylinder guard in order to protect your rear braking system. All in all, it's very well thought out. The kit comes complete with 3 brackets, 2 for the front and 1 for the rear, all pretty heavy duty powder coated steel, and I took the precaution of treating them with the wax oil a couple of days before installation, because rust proofing is important and easy access to these parts once fitted is going to be difficult. Now the rear fitting bracket is all one piece. It's actually upside down here. All the fitting holes in this piece are pre-threaded with welded nuts, but fasteners for all the other parts are included. In total, you should find in your kit 2 extended frame bolts, 4 locking nuts, 11 washers, 5 stainless steel Allen screws, and a curious sleeved bolt fitting for attaching the rear fixing bracket to the bike. The first few paragraphs of Royal Enfield's fitting instruction describe that you should remove the horn and disconnect the negative terminal on the battery. In my case there was no need to move the horn because it was situated in a different place to that described in the instruction booklet, so obviously I skipped that bit. So starting with the front lower engine mounting bracket, the instructions describe these as being 13mm fasteners, but they're not. The 12mm or the wear on my bike. Carefully remove the top rear nut. Don't worry, the engine's not going to go anywhere. It's still attached to this bracket via the bottom one, so there is no movement when you remove it. Then when you've done that, withdraw the bolt. You can then offer up your right hand front sump guard mounting bracket, and it should be fitted with the mounting lug for the actual sump guard facing outwards towards the right of the bay. Then taking one of your extended bolts, putting a washer on the head first, insert that through the hole left by the bolt that you've just removed. Then take the second extended bolt from your kit and insert that through the vacant hole at the bottom of that bracket, not forgetting to put a washer on it first, and then it's time to fit the bracket on the other side. Fit your left hand mounting bracket and then pop a washer over both of the exposed threads. You can then go ahead and fit the locking nuts that come with the kit, and the instructions tell you to tighten these fasteners up to 45 Newton meters, probably the only important torque values that you need to worry about. Now, these extended bolts to my eye were a little bit too long, but I think they're designed to accommodate the crash bars if you have the crash bars fitted, so you know, it is what it is. Either way, when you've finished, it should look something like this. If it doesn't, I would recommend you take it all off and start again. Moving now to the rear fixing bracket, and this is where I messed up a little bit with the filming. At the rear bottom of the engine block there's an elongated lug specifically designed for accepting this bracket. Now on the right hand side, the side that you need to get access to it from, you'll find that there are some gubbins from the rear brake in the way, and they're secured in place with a cable tie which needs to be clipped so that you can free them up. You won't be able to move them out of the way completely, but it will allow enough flexibility for you to be able to get access. The rear bracket will only fit onto this one way, so approaching it from underneath, fit the bracket onto that elongated lug. It is quite a tight fit, but mine went on okay. It just requires a little bit of jiggling about to get everything in place. And once you've got it in place, there should be enough friction there to hold it in place while you get your fastener in. Now, the bolt needs to be threaded onto that aluminium insert that it comes with, and it needs to be inserted into it so that the flange at the end of that insert fits snugly against the bolt head, otherwise you're not going to be able to get it into your bracket. Now, this is the only difficult bit of the whole procedure because there's not an awful lot of clearance for hands, but I think all in all it only took me 3 attempts to get it in. What I did in the end is I used a pair of long nose pliers to hold the fastener and insert it into the hole while pulling the wiring etc from the rear brake out of the way, and it just went straight in. Now the left hand side of the mounting bracket has a captive nut welded onto it, and it's then just a matter of screwing it in place with an 8mm socket. Now I found I had to use all of my extension bars from my little socket set in order to be able to reach this, but they did just reach, and what I thought was going to be a really difficult job actually turned out to be quite easy. Don't tighten this bolt up fully at this stage because you need to be able to have some wiggle room with this bracket while you're fitting the actual sump guard. Starting at the front of the sump guard, you're going to need 2 of those Allen screws with 2 washers each and the 2 remaining locking nuts that come with the kit. Place a washer onto each of these screws and then insert them into the holes in your front brackets. Then pop another washer on the other side and fasten your locking nuts on. Now tighten them up, but don't tighten them up completely. Again, you need some flexibility because you've got to get this sump guard lined up with the captive nuts on the rear bracket. Take your final 3 Allen screws, thread a washer onto each of those screws, use them to fasten the sump guard tightly onto the bracket underneath the bike towards the rear. This will effectively pull that bracket into the position that it needs to be in, so once you've completed fastening these up, you can go ahead and tighten up that rear lug fastener. When you've done that, tighten up those rear fasteners, and then the only thing really that you need to turn your attention to is the cable tie for the pipes and wiring for the rear brake. Now, the instructions don't mention these again after removing the cable tie, and looking at it, actually the sump guard is going to keep these out of harm's way. However, I did identify that there was a danger the ABS wire might get snagged by the centre stand, so I did replace it. It's up to you whether you do or not. It might just be over caution on my part. I'll leave that to your judgment. So that's the little bullet, ready for a little adventure. Well, actually, maybe not quite yet. I'm looking to fit a rear rack onto this bike. Circumstances permitting, I'm hoping to do a little bit of light touring this summer on the bullet, so I think a rear rack is going to be the next job. On the whole, I'm actually very pleased with this. It shows off the Bullet's original Trials bike heritage, and I think makes it look a little bit like a sort of classic adventure bike. Now, those who know this machine well will realise that this sump plate doesn't allow access to the secondary sump plug, and I know from previous videos that I've made regarding sump plates, people always seem to complain about having to remove these in order to do an oil change. At the end of the day, you don't have to disturb the brackets again. It's just a matter of unfastening those 5 screws and removing the sump plate itself. 5 minutes work. And if that's a major stumbling block for you when it comes to changing your oil and filter, I have to question whether you should be really attempting an oil change yourself in the first place. Once again, thank you so much for watching this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. I hope you found this video useful and enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell and ensure that your notifications are enabled. I am of course going to be back on Friday, so until then, ride safely and I'll see you soon.